All right, so now from this point, we have our practice perspective drawing here. We've got letters, we've got blocks. We're going to turn all this into an actual little practice city. We're going to have windows, ledges, sidewalks. We're going to add some embellishments. And that's what you're going to do. That's what your assignment that's going to be due, is adding those embellishments. So I'm going to do a real quick kind of demo on how to do that, speed up some more examples, and you are going to add your details to your drawing as well. So the first thing I want to add is sidewalks. There's something fun about adding a sidewalk. First of all, it makes sense next to a road, right? But I also want to have a little curb. So I'm going to add another line here. So what I've done, I have two lines going here and here, right? And of course I have the original line right here. I'm going to draw that. So that's the original line. So that would be the end of the street. I kind of moved it over, okay? That would be sidewalk, right? So to make this feel like a sidewalk, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put lines that are horizontal. And it's important that you make sure they're horizontal, because if they're not, it really is going to look like, earthquake. But one of the things I'm doing here too is, as I go back and I create these sidewalks, you're going to notice that I get closer and closer together. Because as things go in the distance, remember, you've already learned that things are getting smaller as it goes to the vanishing point. And that's true for things that are the same size. That's what makes them feel like they actually are going into the distance. And as I can start to do this, I can actually just start to kind of add them in here just lightly, because you really can't see them at a certain point. They start to disappear back in the background. So now I have something of a sidewalk. But why did I draw this extra long right here, this extra line right there? That's because I was going to make a ledge. And this line has to be vertical. And I'm not going to do it for every single one. But see how now I've created kind of the sense of a ledge? And these lines have to be vertical. If they're not vertical, it's going to look like a slope. But what I've done now is, now what we have is, we feel like it's a ledge. So if I'm walking over here, I got to jump to get down here. I've created a sense of space in here that I know that this area is going to be lower than the buildings. And I'm doing that all with vertical and horizontal lines. Let me do the other side on speed. All right, now I have a sidewalk. So let's do some other things. Let's talk about windows on buildings. If I'm going to add windows on buildings, everything that's here, that's on this side facing the viewer, is going to be horizontal. Everything that's on the side of the building or facing the street is going to go to the vanishing point. So I'm going to do this. I want to make sure they are horizontal. And this building is not going to be equally spaced because it's just a sample. And now where those lines meet, the windows on the side are going to go to the vanishing point. All right, notice how my ruler changed directions as it went around the vanishing point and the horizon line. So now I have a building. I can add, I can add a door. Now you want to be able to get into this building. If I add a door here, this line has to go to the vanishing point. The top of it goes to the vanishing point. I can do a little path to the sidewalk. I can start just adding all sorts of fun stuff. I am going to make my E look taller. Right now it looks a little flat. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to give it legs by adding just this little depth right here. I'm going to stop it there because it makes sense to stop there. Now all of a sudden my E looks a little taller, like it's on a pedestal, just by playing with the details and adding extra lines going down below it. I've changed the ground of where it starts. All right, how about, let's put a nice little park over here. I'm going to put a park over here. Okay, so now let's add some details on the actual street. To keep it simple, we're just going to add the dashes, the yellow dashes that are down the street. So we start off by using our vertical lines going to the vanishing points, because those squares that are painted on the roads are going to look like they're going back to the vanishing point. So we have to start by drawing their sides. I could have started by measuring along the bottom edge of the sketchbook to get it perfectly centered. I kind of eyeballed this, but if you want that detail, you measure an equal spacing and you will have them centered. So to make the dashes, I'm going to add the vertical lines for the tops and the bottoms of the dashes. What's important here is that everything gets smaller as it goes to the vanishing point, just like buildings. So notice how I'm trying to space them where they're larger at the front and they shrink down as they get to the back. And again, as always, if your lines are not perfectly vertical or not perfectly horizontal, that's what's going to make your buildings look like they're sloping or things are slanted. So that really is kind of the challenge of this process, is really trying to keep everything I feel like there's a lot of vertical, horizontal, or going to that vanishing point. Add something on top of this building. Maybe it's a two-story building, maybe it's just something decorative. Let's see what happens. But I'm going to start by doing a vertical line. This vertical line is going to go up. I'm going to go slightly below the horizon line. Anything that you make that is closer to the horizon line is actually probably going to be a little more difficult, because what you see is very small, like it's a very slither of that top. So I think it's a good thing to do for you to see. By drawing a horizontal line right here, I am implying that the top of this block or building is flat. So if you notice, if I drew those lines all the way down to the top of this line, it would feel more like a recessed in, like there's a ledge on this building. So those are all things that you can do. It's just stuff to play with. So I'm going to line up that corner to the vanishing point. It really can't go past this line. This is going to be skinny because that line is the back of the building, and I don't want to look like it's going off the building. And then I'm going to trust my vanishing point. I'm going to trust the vanishing point. It starts to get very shallow over here, and we just have to trust it. And I'm going to make this vertical because that's vertical. I'm going to make this vertical. And trust the vanishing point. This is where students start to change what they're doing, because they feel like, oh, it's wrong, it's so small. But in reality, you really want to trust it. Trust the vanishing point. You have to trust it. So in the back of the building back here is horizontal, and that'll tell me where that diagonal line stops. That's why I erased part of that diagonal line, because this is where it stops. So notice how I only see a little slither of that building. I only see a little slither of it because it's so close to the horizon line. It's so close to it that we see less of it. So let's do some more embellishments to this building, but I'm going to do that on high speed so that you can get through the video faster. Okay, so now let's do a ledge. Let's talk about ledges and how we can make things feel like they're coming off the letters. So let's do like a balcony. When I say a ledge, I mean like a balcony on the R. So what's going to happen is if I want it to feel like it's coming out, I need to draw that line coming out. So first thing I like to do is kind of define the space. How far do I want it to come out? So let's say it's going to be a big balcony. It's going to come out to there. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Next thing is, how tall is this balcony going to be? So if I make, let's start with like just a little platform so you can physically see what's happening as it's being made. So imagine this is like just a random concrete slab that's coming out of the letter. So what I have right here is the base. This would be the side. This is what you would see from the side. So I'm going to draw the actual part that we stand on. And it has to go to the vanishing point. This has to go to the vanishing point at this time. And I want to line it up. I want it to be evenly, so I'm going to kind of line it up there. And again, horizontal, making sure that they line up and are parallel is the key. So if this line's vertical, this line has to be vertical. And this line has to go to the vanishing point. Sorry about the noises in the background. Lots of noises today. All right. So now I have a platform. Not something that I would want to walk out on. It doesn't feel very safe. So let's give it a ledge. I'm going to do, again, like think of it as extending up. So this is going to be a balcony edge. Okay. And let's leave it glass. We'll make it glass so you can see what's going on the inside. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to repeat that process. But see how it looks taller now? And I don't know where this line ends until I've done the other one because it's closer to the ledge so I can see it better. So I know I want to stop it right there. And when I come down, horizontal, this line has to match this line because that's horizontal. The back of it has to match here, vertical as it comes out. All right. So now what I have is more kind of like a, if you were a glass patio, you walk out, there's a glass patio. So I can put a door here. Now that top of that door has to go to the vanishing point. The top of the door has to go to the vanishing point. That's just how it is. It cannot be vertical or horizontal or it will not look right. It has to go, that top and the bottom go to that vanishing point. That's how we make it look like it's sitting in that space. So that's one type of ledge. We can do all sorts of balconies. Let's say we want to have a balcony on the front. This building's a good one maybe to do something to. Now I'm going to do the P. Let's say we have a little balcony over here. And if it's in the front, you really just draw that balcony the way you want it to look because it's just in the front, right? So let's say I'm going to draw this like a little square. I can even draw it over if I want it. I'm going to do a little over so you can see it. Like if I want it to feel like it's extended out a little bit, I'm going to draw that square. And then what's going to happen is that's going to allow me space to make it feel like it's coming off. Now this one's above the horizon line, so notice how my angle has changed. These things are very important. That's why you have to trust the vanishing point. I keep saying that. No, I sound like a broken record, but it's true. This little guy, so that line's not perfect. So because I didn't use a ruler, I'm going to go fix it. So now I come over here, line up that vanishing point, and then draw my horizontal line, which will be ending there. And see, I don't see a lot of it because it's fairly close to that horizon line. I just don't see a lot of it. So that is okay. Trust where it falls. Trust where it falls. This is also why having those sharp pencils really make a big difference because you can really get those nice clean lines. But now I have like a little cube sticking out to make it feel like a balcony. I can do all sorts of stuff like come over here, give it a ledge so people don't fall off. Come over here to the vanishing point. Notice how that line goes to the vanishing point. And I can even like erase this part. Like maybe this line goes away. You know, maybe it's not a covered balcony. But maybe I want it to have some kind of, I don't know, little thingy sticking up for fun. I don't know. I don't know what those would be, but something decorative back there. So now I have like another little balcony. Actually, to be honest, this guy right here, if I was going to put one there, I got to go to the vanishing point. So I line up that top, come down, and that's where that little guy is going to start. And see how that looks like it's going more to the vanishing point. So those are some things. I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to add more little decorative stuff for you to see on high speed. And slow it down, slow the video down, pause the video. You can see it through the steps, but it's just too long. Okay, so that's about all I'm going to do. Remember, this is a practice. You can add as much detail as you want. You keep going. You're going to do this again for your major project, but this idea is to really kind of start playing with how to make things, how to do things. So experiment. You won't have as many buildings. You only are required 6. So just kind of have fun with embellishing those buildings.